Hello YouTube, here it is, the first video. I've got no idea what I'm doing, but I thought I'd give it a go anyway, because how hard can it be? Right, so me and a couple of friends had a session booked down at the Teamsport track in Cov on Friday night, so I thought I'd get my GoPro out, take it with me, and record what we got up to. Now the Cov track isn't my home track, that will be the one in Leicester, but currently as it stands with recording all of this, Leicester is still in lockdown for the coronavirus, so that's a no-go for a bit, but we do have a booking ready for when they reopen. So the idea behind this channel is to really sort of just track my progress through karting, racecraft and just learning to race really. I've been karting for probably about 2 years or so now, and it's only been the last 12 months I've decided that I want to get relatively serious with it, with the goal of hopefully feeling competitive enough to enter a Club 100 round. Well, hopefully you enjoy the video. Obviously I'm completely brand new to YouTube and relatively new to karting, so any tips and tricks in both areas, leave it in the comments below. And yes, I have all the gear and no idea. So here we are for the first outlap of the evening. Luckily I was the second person to be allowed out onto the track, and you'll see why that's the case in just a short moment. Now I haven't been to the Cov track for around 15 or 16 months, and for those of you that don't know it or haven't been, it's a very tight technical track where you've got to be on it the whole time, because if you don't, you're going to do stupid things like this and forget where to brake, and nearly bin it. So on this photo here you can see where you should be braking, which is that red line just after the shadow on the floor, and where I did brake, which was the metal joining plate of the ramp to the concrete. So I was incredibly fortunate to keep it pointing somewhat in the right direction. But anyway, these next two corners are fun and flat out before heading into the two tight hairpins that are incredibly slow. Now you need to make sure that you get your exit out of these next few corners absolutely right before you start heading up the ramp to start your first flying lap. Hang on a minute, let's rewind that. Yeah, they're going the wrong way. I have never seen that before. Oh my god. Needless to say, that brought the yellow flags out for probably around half of this lap, so this one was a complete write-off. Now jumping forward towards the end of this lap, just coming past the pits, and if you look to the left, you can still see people queuing up as I'm coming past for my second time. So we're going to ride on board for my first real attempt at a flying lap, and you'll see I come up to a little bit of traffic, but it all tends to be in a not too bad place. It doesn't really cost me too much time, except for the person I come up behind just before the pit lane, before you head back up the ramp. If you actually look on the pit exit as we go by, there is still one last person coming out of the pits that's been there from the start, so it's taken them 3 laps to actually finally make it onto track. And that was about the best I could get this session, as it was either plagued with yellow flags, red flags, or just traffic in some really annoying places. Okay, so here's a few questionable moments from this session. So this was an interesting one. The bloke on the inside just seemed to park it on the apex, and no one seemed to know what the hell they were doing, considering there was still green flags. Now this next move was always maybe a little bit too ambitious, on sticking it round the outside on a hairpin and not realising that these people that we're racing against have no spatial awareness at all and just shoving you into the barrier. That was the first time it happened this evening, but it was not the last. Now, if we follow this clip on, this was an enjoyable move on the guy in front of us in kart number 17. Normally, before, I probably would have just tried to throw it up the inside at any given opportunity, but seeing as I'm trying to work on my racecraft, just biding my time, waiting for that moment to appear, which is right here, just keep it around the outside and off we go straight past it. And the final moment is this little gem here, bearing in mind the checker flag has been waved, the yellow flags are flashing. This guy still decides to come up my inside and then proceed to run me into the barrier. And on to session 2, where there wasn't really a lot going on. It was kind of flowing a bit. The guys that we were racing with got into a bit of a groove. The yellow flags weren't too often. I think there was a couple of reds in this one, and I managed to throw in a 42.8, I think it was, as my fastest lap, which was alright. The only move that was a bit iffy was this one coming up here into the hairpin at the bottom of the ramp, where I may have sent it a bit too hard, but also I don't think he left me a great deal of room when he turned in, so 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Okay, session number 3. I'm just going to let this one play out for a few laps. I've got my mate in front of me. We seem to be able to string a few together before anything major happens, so I'll be back when something interesting does occur. I've got behind this chap in the purple, and I'm coming quite close behind him. I've got a good run out of this corner going down into the hairpin, and I just know he's going to drive me into the wall, so I back out of that one. We pop around this hairpin and pull up alongside of him, and lo and behold, he rams me into the wall, even though he knows I'm there. So my friend Mark gets through, he's following him now, and we're just going to follow this through for the rest of this lap. Now there's one thing I've picked up from watching a few videos is let the person in front of you make the gap and you just immediately follow them straight through, which is what we're about to do here. Mark's going to get himself alongside on the inside of him, go through the gap, we're going to follow straight through, and then this guy proceeds to just try and run me off the road again. They just appear to have absolutely no spatial awareness of anything going on at all, and then straight into a red flag. So here's a move that proves I've got a little bit still to learn. I'd been stuck behind this guy for probably a lap and a half, 2 laps, and credit to him, he'd actually been defending really well. But I was just getting frustrated, so I decided at the top of the ramp I was going to try and send it up the inside into the hairpin, but completely misjudged it and slid straight into the side of him that hard that I felt bad enough that I had to let him have the position back. And with my lesson learned, the following lap onto the same corner again, and job done this time. And that was pretty much it for that session. I managed to set a fastest lap of a 42.6, so far I've managed to keep on improving each session, which is good. On to the 4th and final session of the evening. So this last 15-minute session was just a members only event, so it was me, the 2 guys that I was with, and then to the right of me there were 2 people already on track because they were taking part in one of the other sessions that was already out, so they stayed out and stayed in their car. There wasn't really much to talk about during this, it was just 5 of us going around with plenty of space to do 15 or so minutes worth of hot lapping, so I skipped straight forward to my fastest lap and let that play through. There it is, my fastest lap of the evening, a 42.553, which put me fastest time of the day, and I believe it was 6th fastest for the week, which I was pretty happy with. There's still plenty of room for improvement though, and hopefully next time I can go that little bit quicker. Right, well that's the end of that evening's racing and also the end of this video. Like I said at the start, if you've got any advice on either karting or YouTube, please leave it in the comments below. I should hopefully be having another race at my local outdoor track this Wednesday, all being well with my hand, because on the Friday that we went to Teamsport, it was the hottest day of the year, around 35 degrees in a day, and I blistered my hand inside my glove and ripped it open. But fingers crossed that should be all healed up well enough for me to be able to have a little race anyway. So take it easy guys.